Hi everyone, Krishna this side. So in this video, I'll be covering this Leetcode problem 3307. Find a kth character in a string game 2. You can pause the screen and read the problem statement. I'll directly explain you what it is trying to say. So in an input, we have given value of k and operations. An array of operation is something what we have given with us. So initially we have to start with this word a for all the examples. Okay, for any inputs we have to initially start with a and we have to generate a string based on these operations, and we have to figure out this kth character in the string. Okay, so what is how to generate the string, that is the question, right? So let us try to see in this on the screen. So let's say if k is basically equals to 5, that is been given, and in this operation array only 0 or 1, these values will be available. So at first index, if it is 0, then it is 1, then it is 0, and then it is again 1. And let us suppose k 8 character is something what we have to figure out. Okay, so initially we will start with a. Okay, so at any point in time if we notice 0, what we have to do, we have to just append the same character. Okay, so resultant string is double a. Now at any point in time if 1 is something what we have to notice, if it is been given the operation, what we have to do is we have to shift this. So a becomes b, a becomes b, again this a becomes b, any character that we are having. Okay, let us suppose if we are at character c. Okay, in this string, whatever the strings that we are forming in the going ahead, if we got the c character and 1 is something what we notice, so d is something what we have to consider for that one. Okay, next character is something what we have to get it. For z it is going to be a, again we have to back start from the a character. Okay, at any point in time, so this double b is something what we have to append into this one. So a b is something what resultant string, again it is 0, so this same string is something what we have to add in the previous string. So it is like double a double b double a double b, that is the resultant string that we get. Okay, so it should be like plus here, right over here, not below this one, but just trying to say I mean I don't have any extra space, so write it down there. Okay, next character is a. So next is like 1, so this a becomes b, this one becomes b, this one becomes c, this will be b, this will be b, this will be c, this will be c. So this was the previous string, this is the new string that we got, we just have to add both of them. Okay, so it is like b b c c b b c c. Okay, this is the answer that we get. Okay, so this is the answer that we get, and from here we have to figure out 8 character. Okay, so it is like 2 2 6 8. So b is the answer that we get, and that is something what we have to print into the output. Okay, the question should be pretty much clear for all of us. Okay, so in the yesterday this operation array is something what it was not present right over there, but k was there, kth character is something what we have to figure out, and apart from this, whatever the operation that we are dealing with is 0, that was not present. So we initially start with a, and we have to just keep on getting the next character. So for a it is like b, so b is something what we will add, the resultant string is like ab. For ab it is like cd, the resultant string is like abcd. For abcd it is like bc de, this is something what we have to attach in this existing string bcde. This was the problem statement yesterday, and here we have to just figure out kth character again. Okay, same problem, just slight modification. At any point in time if 0 is something what we notice, whatever the string that we have, we just have to append the same string again. At any point in time if 1 is there, we have to get the next characters for entire strings, and we have to add it attached to the existing string. Okay, so yes, based on this, what we can do is simple idea that comes in our mind is, okay, let's try to generate all the different strings, right? Like initially we will start with a, whatever the operation it is been given, that is something what we will attach. So that way we will keep on building the string, and we will just try to figure out the kth character out of that string. Okay, that should be come in our mind. Okay, the initial first thing that should be hit in our mind. But the problem is if we look into the constraint, here in the constraint it is mentioned that k value is basically equals to 10 to the power of 14. Okay, so if we try to build that much long character length string, right, definitely we will hit memory limit exceed. Okay, we cannot store those many characters at a single point in time. Okay, so instead of this generating all the strings, we will again try to apply the same logic that we did yesterday. It was like using the bit manipulation. We tried generating this. Just assume that these many shifts that might have happened, and based on that, we tried getting the answer. Okay, So let me again try to consider yesterday's problem. Okay, just try. I'll just give the idea like what we have done yesterday, so that this whatever the problem statement that we have given to us today, it will be easily it will be getting solved. Okay, a simple observation that we have noticed, whenever it is been multiple of 2, okay, at that point in time only the new character is getting added into the string. Why? So see, we are initially at first index. So when we multiply it with 2, the resultant string is something what new string is something what we build. Okay, and again if we again want to build a next string, it is like we will just get next characters, so it is like B and C, and that is something what we attach into this one. So it is like multiple of 2, right? So whatever the new string that we are forming, we are just getting its next characters. So it is like C and D, and this is something what we are attaching it. So it is like multiple of whatever the length that we have, we are simply multiplying it with 2. Okay, the moment we are multiplying it with 2, whatever the last character that we notice, this was like, let us suppose here when we multiplied A with 2, B is something what we get, and this character was introduced new into this current length. Right over here, C is new character that we got introduced. Here D is the new character. So for till this point in time, we have no new characters. Okay, but new D character is something what it got introduced. Again, going ahead, the same string get repeated with the next characters, and E is the character, new character that got introduced into this entire string. Okay, so here, if we just simply try to consider new character when it is getting added, when we are trying to multiply it with 2. Till that point in time, whatever the previous characters that are there, those are basically at least trying to get repeated. Okay, those characters are getting repeated. Okay, so A got shifted here to B. A got shifted here to B, and it is like one time it got shifted. Okay, if I simply add 1 plus A plus 1, it is going to be B. Okay, at this point in time here, it is like at the fourth index, if I add 2 into the A, C is something what I can get it. If I add 3 here, it is like D is something I can get it. Okay, if I add 4 here, A plus 4, E is something I can easily get it. Okay, this is like whenever I add 1 2 3 4 with multiple of 2. Okay, it is kind of multiple of 2, I am getting new characters. Okay, so here I can simply consider that it is the fourth shift. 4 characters we shifted, then only I got this one. Here it is like 3 shift we have done, then only I got this D. Here it is like 2 shift we have done, here 1 shift we have done. Okay, that means like a character has been getting shifted that many times, then only I got this E, right? A basically got shifted 4 times. A first got shifted to B, B got shifted to C, C got shifted to D, D got shifted to E. That means 4 operations we did, then only we got this one. So whenever K is basically equals to 16, I can get easily like 4 shifts we got. But how to calculate these 4 shifts, right? That should be the question. Okay, if I want to achieve this whatever the k value, if it is given 16, if I want to achieve this value like 4 shift this shift, whatever the shift that we got, right? If I want to achieve this value, what I can simply try to do, I'll try to reduce this case value. I'll try to reduce case value, and I'll try to bring it 1. And this operation, how I'll do, I'll simply, what I'll do is like simply this 8 that was there, right? Initially this 8 was the length, and 16 is the uh, case length. Okay, so what we will do, previously whatever the, from this particular array, from this particular string only, from this given string only, we generated this next string. Okay, from this one only we generated next string. So whatever the last index length that we have, we will simply from this k 16th. Okay, it may be k, maybe 14 15 anything, but we have to just land on the previous length that we were having. So 8 was the previous length that we were having. So we have to just subtract them. 16 minus 8 is something what we will do. It is like k minus this length. Okay, length whatever the previous length that we have. That is something what we were trying to do. So it is like 8 is the value that we get. So k value is basically 8 now. K value is something what it will be 8. So k value is basically we are trying to update it right over here, because I just want to reduce it to this location. Now from here, I want to reduce to this location. Now from here, I want to reduce to this location. This way I can get it. Here it was 1 shift. 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 Okay. This way we can get all the shifts. Okay. How many shifts it got created. So what we are doing, we are simply subtracting it with the previous length. Now previous length, we will update it again. Length, we will, what we will do, length divided by 2. Okay. So length is right now at 4th index. K value is basically 8. So again, length is basically less than this 8. So 8 minus 4 is something what we will update into the K. Okay. So here it was one shift. Here it was second shift. K got updated to 4 now. K got updated to 4. Again, the same operation we will do. Length equals to length divided by 2. So previous now length was basically equals to 2. So we are at this location, second index. Okay, let me change the color. We are at this location. Length is basically equals to 2 now, and K was basically equals to 4. This was like first shift that we got because we transferred from 16 to 8. From 16 to 4, we got second transfer. From 4 to 2 is something what we will try to do now. K value get updated from 4 minus 2 is basically 2. K value is basically got updated to 2. This was the third shift. Okay. Now length basically again divide it with 2, because this, with the help of this only we got this length, right? With the help of this we got this length. With the help of this we got this length. Okay. So that's why we are just trying to divide it with 2, and with the help of previous length we are subtracting it, so that we will get to know like K is basically at with which index, and we are trying to bring this K value to 1. Okay, that way we will get to know how many shifts that we have done right over here so far. So length is basically 1 now. So again K is basically 2. So 2 minus 1, if we do, K is basically 1. K is basically equals to 1. The moment K is basically equals to 1, we will get to know like how many shifts we have done. So we will keep on counting these shifts. Okay, it was like first shift. When K value, whenever the K value got modified, we are just counting it. Okay, this was first shift, this was second shift, third shift, fourth shift. So in total 4 shifts we required. Okay, and we can easily consider them as well, right? So simply if we try to notice, it was like first shift got happened at second index, third shift got happened at fourth index, fourth shift got happened at 8 index, correct? And that way we were getting all the shifts. Okay, so for 16 index 4 shifts we got. Okay, we were simply subtracting it with the whatever the previous line that we were having. So now this way we got for 16. Same operation we, if we try to do for the 15, 14, 13, we will definitely get the result. The operations are like we are simply trying to get the previous length. What was the previous length? Initially, if K is lying in this range, this was the previous length. Okay, if K is lying in this range, this was the previous length. If K is lying in this range, this was the previous length. Okay, this way we, I mean, it is kind of multiple of 2, right? The length, whatever the length that we were forming further going ahead, it was multiple of 2. So yes, we will easily get this idea that okay, we will try to subtract with the previous length, so that we can actually reduce this K's value. Okay, and that way we can count how many times K got shifted, whatever the A character, because initially we started with A, and this, with the help of A only, we formed all these entire strings. Okay, so for this we easily identified, we, okay, from 16, if I want to reduce, if we keep on reducing the K's value, we were easily getting the counts, like how many times A might have A might got shifted. Okay, that way we counted it. Same operation we will again try to do it for 15. The answer should be 3. Okay, the answer should be 3. For here it should be 4, and that way we keep on reducing the values of K, and we got to know that. Let us suppose for 15, well, if the K value is 15, okay, K value is 15, so we should get 3, so that if we add 1 plus 3, D should be the answer. That is something what we will get. So 3 is something what we are trying to figure out. Same thing we will try to apply right over here. See, now here you will get to know that like how the range is basically getting diverted. Okay, so 3 should be the answer that we are trying to looking for. We are just trying to looking for the 3, as in that is the answer that we are trying to looking for. So K is basically 15. Okay, and we have to get the length less than this 15. So the length is basically 8, because from this particular string only we generated this string, correct? We will try to subtract from 8. We will try to subtract from 8. From this 8 we will try to subtract this 15. Okay, so K value is basically 15 minus 8 is something what we will do. 7 is something what we will get. 7 is something what we will get. And if we try to notice here, this particular character, whatever this D character has been there, this character got generated with the help of C, correct? So now you are getting it, right? So why we are doing it? So previously, now whenever I try to subtract this from this 4, okay, 4 minus this whatever the index, this character got generated from this one. Okay, so we were directly jumping on that particular location. Okay, we were directly jumping on that particular location, and with that jumping this K's value, because K is initially 15. When we subtract 8 minus this 15, 15 minus 8 we do, we reached at this location. K value is basically pointing to this location. And if we notice this, with the help of this C only, this value got generated. With the help of C only, this value got generated, correct? So any characters that we are seeing, when we subtract with this previous multiples of 2, we will directly jump them on those previous index, okay, from where this particular character got generated. We will simply jump on those index only. That way we will get this idea that, so if k value, let us suppose, now let us try to solve this one, and again with another example I'll give the clarity. Okay, we actually landed on this particular index, k value is basically pointing to this, and we are pretty much clear that with the help of this one only, with the help of this c only, we generated this d, we generated this d. Okay, so here it was one shift. Now length, let us again divide this length by 2, length equals to length divided by 2, so it is like 4. From this range only, this next range got generated, right? This next all the characters got generated. Okay, length is actually 4 now. So again, the previously k was 7, 7 minus 4, if we do 3 is the answer that we get. Okay, 3 is basically this one, this one, and with the help of b this character got generated. Okay, so you are getting it right. So we are just directly jumping on those index from where these characters got generated. Okay, we are now at this particular location, we are at this particular location. So it is like k's value got updated to 3, and this was second shift. Okay, from b only this got generated, from c only this got generated. So two shifts we got so far. Again what we will do, length will be getting updated, we will simply divide this by 2. So length is basically 2, k value is basically 3, 3 minus 2, if we do, k value is 1. The moment k value is basically equals to 1, we are done. Like those many shifts only we have done so far, those many shift only we have done so far, because from here we directly jump to a, from a only all these loops got started, right? From a only all these things were started. So three shifts it required. So any particular index that you try to notice, if you try to see that, it will directly take you to the previous index only with the help of these things. It will directly take you to the previous index from which this character got generated, and that way we can keep on counting like how many times it got shifted. Okay, a got shifted to b, b got shifted to c, c got shifted to d, and this, with the help of this jumping strategy, we can easily identify that like how many times it got generated. So we can keep on reducing the k value and we will get the answer. Okay, so this was for the yesterday's solution. Okay, to just give the clarity, like what we have done yesterday, it is just I tried extending it. Now the moment we get this clarity in the today's problem, we just have these operations. Okay, based on these operations we are trying to solve this one. At any point in time, if 0 is there, whatever this previous string that was there, we are simply updating the same string going ahead. So here, are we doing any shift? Whenever 0 is something what we notice, same thing we will do, same formula we will apply. We will keep on reducing the k value, but at any point in time, whenever the 0 is something what we will notice, the same string we are just trying to put further ahead. So do we really required to make this whatever the shift that we were considering each point in time in the previous problem, do we require to consider here for the 0 index, I mean 0 operation, whenever the 0 value has been given? It is not necessary, because the same character is basically getting appeared in the next, and whatever the jumping that we are doing, so k value that we are trying to reduce, it was getting updated to the correct index, and it was the same index that we got noticed right over there. So we are not required to count the shift, and based on the shift only we are just adding it into the answer, and we are trying to get what is the character that we got formed. But here, whenever the 0 is the 0 is something what we notice, at that point in time we will simply ignore this shift. We will not consider the shift. At any point in time when 1 is there, we will simply consider the shift. Let me just pause the screen because it is actually lagging a bit, but with a new example I'll try to explain what I'm trying to say, and with that one we will get a clarity and we will be done. We can solve this problem. Okay, okay, so I hope the screen is visible. So let us consider the today's problem. Okay, here k value is basically equals to 13. K value is basically equals to 13, and this is the array that has been given. Okay, initially we will start with a. First operation is like 0. 0 is something what we have to consider. I mean, if 0 is there, whatever the previous string that we have, we will simply append it. So this is the resultant string. Okay, now 1 is something what we got. So again, for 1, it is like these characters will get shifted. A got shifted to b, this got shifted to b, and this is something what we will attach it into this existing string. So initially string was a, we added this bp, whatever this new resultant string that we got, that is something what we attached, and this was the new resultant string. Okay, so instead of tracking these strings, okay, instead of generating strings, what we will do here, we will simply track the length. Initially length was 1. Okay, now the length was 2 with addition of this one. Okay, for this particular operation, the length will be again multiply with 2, length will be 4. For this particular operation, length is like 4 into 2, it will be 8. Okay, now here it is 0. So for 0 it is like again same characters, these whatever the characters that we get, there is something called I have attached and I have appended it into the previous string. The previous string was this, same string I have appended it, because 0 is something what we have given to us. Okay, so now this has been done, this particular operation we have done. So next operation is basically 1 again. Okay, it was 1. So for one we have to, what we have to do, whatever these characters we have to get their next characters. For A it is B, for B C, it is B, it is B, it is C, it is C. Okay, this whatever the new string that I've got, I simply attached right over here. So these all the characters, that is something what I have added there. Okay, it is pretty much clear. So whatever the new resultant string that we are getting, we are just simply adding it based on the operations. Now, yeah, in the previous example, what we have done, we have simply considered how many times a bit got shifted based on reducing the case value. K is initially 13, so 16, 15, 14, 13. This was the character that we have to return it. Okay, this is where K is basically pointing, and this character is something what we have to figure out. And this is the array that I am maintaining right over here. Initially, we started with 1, the length is 2, 4, 8, 16. Okay, so for 16 length, because uh, K is basically 13 and we have to go till 16. Okay, then only K will get included in our pocket. Okay, yes, we go till 16 because K is basically within a range. Now, simply again, what we will do, same thing we will try to apply here. This particular index, whatever this particular index, this has been formed with the help of which index, right? That is the question. If we subtract 13, this was the 13 index, K is 13, 13 minus 8 if we do, 13 minus 8 if we do, it is going to be 5. Okay, so from this, with the help of this character, with the help of this index, we actually generated this one, correct? Because this entire length is 8, and this entire length is 8. Okay, so this was the fifth character. Again here also it was a fifth character. Okay, so simply whatever the last index that we have for this entire length, whatever the last index that we have, if we simply subtract this 13 minus this, if we do, we will definitely reach at that particular index. Okay, this is the simplest example explanation that I can give to you. Okay, any character that we have, so this is like 9, 10, 11, 11th character that we have, it is like third character. With the help of this third character only we generated this one. Okay, so simply whatever the length that we have, previous length that we have, if we simply subtract it, we can get the previous index. Okay, we can go back to the previous index. Okay, and here in the previous one we were easily shifting all the characters. In this one, based on the operations, we were shifting the characters. Based on the operations, we were shifting the characters. So we have to make sure that this particular B, whatever this C character that we have generated, is it formed with the help of shifting these operators or not? So whatever the value that has been there. So initially for this 16, all these characters got shifted. Okay, because we can notice here it was 1. It was 1, correct, at this location. For from this 8 length, all the previous further characters that we got generated, those are shifted characters. Okay, from this length 4, all these characters that we notice, all these characters are basically formed by just simply reconsidering them. These characters are not shifted. Whatever these characters that are there, the same characters that we can notice. So at this particular point in time, we are not required to count the shift. Whenever the value is 0, the same character has been there, so it is not a shifted character, right? Same, if the character is same. Okay, if the character is same, so we shouldn't be considering it as a shifted character, is it? So again, same thing that we will try to see. K is basically 13, so it was basically pointing right over here at this location. Sorry, it should be at this location. So when we subtract from this 8, we will get to know that from the with the help of this A only, this character got generated. Okay, because if you just simply consider this string, this A got shifted right at this location, this got shifted right at this location. Okay, so if we subtract this 9, let us suppose K is basically equals to 9. Okay, so 9 minus 8 if we do with this help of length, previous length, 9 minus 8 if we do, we will reach at this location. Okay, sorry, we will reach at this location because it is basically equals to 1, K is basically equals to 1. Okay, the moment K is basically equals to 1, we are done, right? So I mean, we got to know that this character basically might got shifted by 1 time. Okay, this character might got shifted by one time. Okay, that is the clear idea. That is the clear idea that we can get it based on the operations. We just have to consider whether it got shifted or not. If it is 0, we will simply consider that the same character got repeated, so we will not count the shift at that point in time. Okay, so let us just try to focus for 13 only. Now, just to give the clarity, I just repeated the same things. So k is basically equals to 13, and we will try to solve this one, and then I'll keep on writing the code. Okay, so I just maintained here the array. Okay, I just have maintained here an array. This array basically stores the lengths. So initially the length was 1, then length was 2, length was 4, then length was 8, and then length was 16. Now we will simply go through this array. Okay, a while loop we will start from the last index. Okay, this last index, whatever the last index, so this is like a length array. Let us suppose length of last index, whatever the last index, let us suppose if it is n, this last index, if we will keep on doing this while loop. Okay, or else we will try to go till the zeroth index. We will try to go till the zeroth index, because by reaching this length equals to 1, k will be definitely reached to the first index. Okay, at any point now in between also somewhere k will reach to the 1, but we will still go through this one. Okay, so we will start from the last index. We will go to the I equals to this last index. I should be less than or equals to 0. This, whatever the length that we have, we will keep on going through this one. And what we will do, simply we will check if k is basically greater than whatever this value that is there at this ith index. Okay, it was 16 and k is basically equals to 13. Initially k is 13, so we will not perform again. We will try to shift to the previous index, because whatever the value 16 has been there, we cannot simply 13 minus 16, that is something what we cannot do. We just want to figure out like this b character from where it got generated. Okay, that we can achieve it by subtracting simply with the previous length, whatever the previous length that we have. So this initially it won't work. Now next is like length is basically pointing to 8. Now length is basically equals to 8, and k value is basically equals to 13. 13 minus 8, if we do 5 is something what we will get. 5 is something what we will get, and we will check whether this index, whatever this index, okay, this index was initially it is 0 1 2 3 4. Okay, this index are 0 1 2 3 4, and this given operation index are like 0 1 2 3. Okay, for this third index, this will be the mapping. Okay, because here all these characters, whatever we the characters that we have, these with the help of these characters got generated, and these characters are actually shifted characters. Okay, actually shifted characters, because here it is 1. Here the index values are different because we have started with 1. We have started with 1, so we simply can consider that whatever the 8 minus this range, third k's range where it is lying, k is basically lying in this range, correct? K is basically lying in this range, so based on that we will simply consider that whether it got shifted or not based on the operations. Okay, so if it is got shifted, we will simply consider a count. We will simply consider a count. So currently k is here, it is pointing to 5. K basically got pointed to 5. Okay, it is lagging. Just let me pause the screen for a while, and I'll again explain you guys. This will be the last pause, and I'll write down the solution as well. Okay, I hope the screen is visible now. K basically pointing to fifth index. Okay, k is basically pointing to fifth index by subtracting from this 8. Okay, now length basically points to this one. So this is like one shift we have done. Okay, because here this k basically lies in a range where this all these characters got shifted, and that we can get it from this condition, whatever this condition array that was given to us. Okay, based on this only we will identify whether this k is basically formed, whatever this index that we got generated, this was shifted or not. Now our k, let me just clean this up, all these things. Now the range got shrinked. We will try to see from which range this k got generated. Now this is the new range that we have. Length is basically pointing to this index. Okay, and k is basically pointing to here. Okay, and we are pretty much clear that with the help of this only this character got generated. Okay, so if you try to shift all these characters, you will get to know we will reach this index only. So now from this 4 k value, if we try to subtract, k is basically 5. 5 minus 4, if we do 1 is something what we will get. K value got updated to 1. Okay, because length is currently pointing at this index 4. So k value got pointing to here, first index. The moment k is basically pointing to 1, we are done. I guess we are not even required to run this array. Basically the moment k is basically pointing to first index. but still, yes, we are running it, we can run it, there is no issue. Now here, the moment it reached to 1, okay, we will try to see that this k index, whether it got formed with the shifted array or not. Here it is 0, here it is 0, right? The moment we realize if it is 0, the same character, whatever the current character, a character that we have, that is something what we have right over there, right? So the same string that we have, that is something what we have written right over here, correct? So whatever this fifth character that we are noticing, it is the same character. So do we have to consider here a shift? No, right? We are not supposed to consider here a shift. There is no shifting happen at this point in time. So whatever the one shift that we got, that is the answer. Okay, so we simply add 1 to it. The b is the answer that we will get, and we will notify that b is the answer that we were having. Okay, at the 13th index. Again, let us try to take another example, and this will be actually the last example. So let us suppose k value is basically equals to 15. K value is basically equals to 15. This is the condition array that has been given to us, and yes, based on this, let me just quickly clean all these things just to give the clear perspective right now. So if you guys get it, rest of you guys, you can start writing the code. It is pretty much clear. Okay. So now k is basically equals to 15. 15 is the value that we are trying to figure out. So this should be the answer. C should be the answer. So in A we have to add 3. 3 shift is something what we are, sorry, it should be 2. 2 shifts might have happened, then only this character has formed. Okay. So the length array was like this: 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. We will this whatever the last index, from there we are starting it. So k is 15. So k, if the moment k is actually greater than this whatever the index that value that we are having, then only we will try to subtract it. So initially we are running from this loop from backward. So we are at this location pointing to this one, I is basically pointing. So this whatever this length that is having at this index 16 is something what the value that we have. 16 is actually greater than this k, so we will not enter into this one. Now here it is 8. So length is 8 and k value is basically equals to 15. Okay, sorry, it is 15. So 15 minus k value is something what we will update. K equals to 15 minus 8. That is something what we will do. The 7 is the answer that we get. Okay. So we are currently pointing, the k is basically pointing at this index. Okay. So here, if we try to notice here, this whatever the shifting that we were trying to do, here it got shifted by ones. Okay, because all the characters here, if it is 1, that means all the characters got shifted. So if this, in this condition array, if whatever the index that we are trying to look, if this is 1, then we will simply consider a shift. We will update the shift is basically equals to 1. Okay, now k is basically 7, length is basically 4. Here it is pointing to 7 minus 4. If we do 7 minus 4, if we do, it is like 3. Okay, so now k is basically pointing to the third index. This was first, second, third. Here k is basically pointing. Okay, I think it should be correct, right? So k is basically pointing at this location. Now again, if we notice here, whatever this k value that got formed, it got formed without any shift of character, because we were simply going through this condition array as well, without any shift. Even if we try to notice, right, whatever this all the characters that we have, the same characters that we have formed right over here. So without any shift of the character, this whatever the character has been there, same character is right over here at this location. And this character, whatever the character that we have, from this entire length, we've generated this entire length. So this character actually got shifted. So shift was, that is something what we have considered based on the condition array. So now condition array, if 0 is there, we will simply do not, I mean, we just ignore this. Whatever the shift we were counting, we will simply ignore it based on this condition array, because the same character is basically getting appeared. Now the k value is basically equals to 3, and length is basically equals to pointing to this one. So 3 minus 2, if we do, 1 is something what we will get. K is basically pointing to 1. Okay, k is basically pointing to 1. K now got pointed at this location. Okay, and if we notice here in the condition array, it is basically 1. That means there was one shift. Okay, there was one shift. Whatever the initial current string that we have, with the help of that, we actually shifted the characters. That is something what this basically notify to us. Okay, so the moment we realize, we will update the shift. So previously shift was 1, now shift got updated to 2. 2 times it got shifted. Okay, so that also we can consider. So this was the current string. Okay, this is the current string that we have, and this new string is something what generated based on this one, this operation. For zeroth operation, it was like a got shifted to a. Okay, that is something what we have added. For this length, For the second operation, we have generated this string, and this is like basically, if you notice, it was one, so these characters, whatever the characters that we have, we actually shifted it. Okay, so that is something what we got to notify. So in terms of that, like, we just tried reducing the k value to this starting index. And how we did it? So we simply tried subtracting with this previous length, so that we will get to know from which index the character it got generated, and that way we will keep on counting the shifts based on these values as well. Previously there was no restrictions, because every single time we were generating all the characters, but here there was a simple constraint that 0, if it is there, we will simply copy the same array characters. Okay, okay. So yes, it was pretty much this way we can solve this particular problem, and I hope you get the idea. Let me try to write down the code now. Still, if you struggling to understand, you try to create this whatever the arrays that I have generated, the strings that I have formed, and based on that you try to identify how this k value basically got generated. Okay, because from initially from the first index only we generated the entire string. Okay, and it was multiple of true. So whatever the previous line that we were having, the k value, when we try to subtract from the previous line, it will definitely take us to the previous character index where from where it got generated. Okay, so the first thing is like I'll create here an array, length array. Okay, so this length array will be having size of this operations dot length plus one, because initially in the length array one is something what we have added. The string basically started with one length, and whatever the operations that we are doing, with the help of these operations only, we are generating the rest of the strings. Okay, so n, let me try to get the length. Int n equals to operations dot length, and this length is basically n plus 1. Okay, and at 0th index the length is basically equals to 1. Okay, in the yesterday's solution we directly generated all the lengths. Okay, it would be long, but here I'm just maintaining the length, so that based on the operations I can either consider a shift or not consider a shift. That for that logic only I am considering it into this length array. Okay, all the whatever the counts that we get, multiplication of 2 to 2, that is something what I'm considering here. So I'll run a while loop, and here in the input it is mentioned that the input is generated so that the word has at least k characters. Okay, so yes, the while loop, what I'll do is like I can run a while loop or a for loop as well. We can do anything. Let's try to run a for loop for int I equals to 1, I less than this less than or equals to n. Okay, till nth index we will try to go I plus plus, and in this length of this I, we will simply whatever the previous value that was there in the previous index, we will simply multiply it with 1. Okay, uh, we will simply multiply it with previous value, so that this length array will be getting form key form, because initially it was one length, then it was second 2 length, 4 length, 8 length, 16 length. That is something the length array that I am trying to generate right over here. At any point in time I can simply get out of this loop as well. It is I mean, it is not necessary to do this thing, but yes, if this k, whatever this length of I, if it is actually greater than the k, at any point in time we can break it, so that there is no point in generating the rest of the array as well. But it's I mean, it doesn't really matter as well if we are trying to generate it or not. And let me try to get an index. If I am doing that way, I'll keep on collecting the index, so that at any point in time wherever I am getting break, the loop, the next loop, I'll keep on starting from there. Okay, so here I'll create a shift. So how many shifts that we have, that is something for the counting those shifts. I have created a shift count here variable. Now the first thing is like we will start going from the backward from this length array. So I int I equals to this idx, whatever wherever the index got pointed, because from there the length arrays keep on getting increased, and we actually got this case length. Okay, there is no point in further going and generating the lengths. Okay, so I started from the that index. It could be the last index as well, if the k is basically relying in the last range, and I should be greater than or equals to 0 and I minus minus. So first thing is we will simply check if k, this, if it is actually greater than this length of I. Okay, whatever the length, if that is the case, then only we are simply reducing this k value, k minus length of I. Okay, k minus length of I, and we will simply check that whatever the index that we have current operations of this operations of I, If this operations of this I, if it is actually equals to 1, then only we will simply consider a shift. So we will update the shift plus plus we can do, or plus 1 we can do, shift plus equals to 1, anything we can do. Okay, if it is 0, we can simply ignore it because the same character has been appeared in the next whatever the strings that we have generated. Okay, yeah, that's the logic right over here, and it's pretty much straightforward. We don't have to do anything else, and the moment we are done, we can simply break from here as well. The moment k is basically equals to 1 and all, we can put that logic right over here as well. If k equals to 1, we can simply break from there. There is no point in going further. Okay, so yes, these are the things, and if this is done, at the end what we will do, we have to return the character. Okay, so we got all the shifts, how many shifts that we got, so we will simply consider them. Okay, so shift, now again, if you remember, I have put modulo here. If shift goes out of bound, like after 26, again the first character should, it will start repeating. So 26 is the modulo that I am applying, so that we can again get, if 27 is there, again one count is something out, we should get it. Okay, plus a is something out, we will do. Okay, this is like how we can solve this one. Let me try to run it and see if there are any issues. Okay, there are errors. Operations dot length. Okay, it was yes, which I missed right over there. Okay, it is getting accepted. Let me try to submit the code as well. And if we discuss about the complexity, is whatever this multiplication of 2 that we are doing, it is going I mean logarithmic way, right? So first it was 2, then we directly jump to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 32. Okay, this is like in log of k times. Okay, k operations we were doing in log of k, we were generating this, and this whatever this length that we have generated, it is like based on the operations length. This storage is something what we will do. And at last, right over here, this for loop also runs in log of k times. The moment k is basically equals to 1, we are simply breaking out of it. So the complexity is like both log of k space as well as storage. Storage is like whatever the n operations that we have, that is the storage that we are having. We can even ignore this storage. We can reduce this storage as well by not storing, considering it. But there are some slight modifications. Just to get the clarity, I have added this, created this array and all. Okay. So that's all from this particular video. I hope you get the learning. Thank you for watching this video. Bye bye.